Once you find yourself in conflict with a narcissist, it's a virtual guarantee they're going to start playing head games with you. That's why I put together a new course. It's very extensive called Anger Games. I'm going to teach you how to manage anger and conflict with a narcissist. There's a link below that's going to show you how to register, and I hope that you find it to be very insightful. It's no secret that individuals who have a strong narcissistic bent also have major anger issues. I'm sure that if you've lived with somebody or worked or been in a social setting with somebody who's got strong narcissism, you've seen them go into rages, or they can bring a lot of irrationality and annoyance and irritability and impatience to the equation. Sometimes they'll go into passive-aggressive anger and punish you with silence and withdrawal meant to try to make you squirm and feel uncomfortable. They can hold on to grudges and hold you in contempt. That's all a part of their anger, the anger problems that they have. Now, let's understand that the anger of the narcissist is a byproduct of multiple other emotional disorders. For example, narcissists struggle with a great deal of pride and hubris. They're very self-absorbed, and so the anger flows out of that. They also have hidden fears. They can be highly defensive. They don't trust people to be what they think they're supposed to be, and so their fear is very much a part of their anger. They're very threatened by your differences. That's their fear. They struggle with loneliness, and when I say loneliness, they don't know what to do when they don't have the attachments that they want. They feel disconnected, and then that leads to their anger. They have struggles with inferiority, guilt, shame, inadequacy, and all that goes along with that. And then the anger is the culmination of all of that other unresolved mess. And you can see that down at the base of their personality is just a lot of chaos. Now, instead of them saying, I need to take a hard look at who I am and understand why I struggle with the emotion that I do, because there are so many different features that go into it. No, what they do is they go straight into the whining mode. Now, many narcissists, like I mentioned, can come across in a real strong-arm kind of way, and you tend to think of a whiner as being kind of childish. Yeah, I didn't get my way, that kind of thing. But they may not say it quite with that tone of voice. But make no mistake, narcissists are whiners deluxe. They complain, and they can complain with the best of them. And basically, what they're thinking is, I am going to gripe and complain toward you because you're supposed to make my problems go away. And when I say you, anyone in my world, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. And as a result, the whining and the complaining is just nonstop. Now, let me give you an idea of some of the primary indicators that says that narcissist is truly that angry narcissist is truly in a whining mode. And just use this as a bit of a checklist in your own mind with respect to that narcissist that you have to deal with. How many of these ingredients would you see in that person? For example, this individual who's a whining, angry narcissist is constantly complaining about something. When you encounter them, there's probably going to be somewhere in there where they're going to say, let me tell you what's wrong with today. In addition, they can be very peevish in the way that they look at the world. And that is, they can be annoyed by all sorts of insignificant or unimportant kind of things, but they can make mountains out of molehills. These individuals are not skilled at managing loose ends. They can be overwhelmed by complexity or even the possibility or the hint of complexity. And so they gripe and moan and groan about that. These people are stuck in self-pity. They tend to portray themselves as the victim. Look at what these people out there in my world are doing to make my life miserable today. That's part of their whining mechanism. They will dump their emotional garbage onto whoever they can put it onto. We call it displacement, a little bit more of a professional way of putting it. They're in the displacement mode. It's like, I can't deal with what's on the inside of me, so I'm just going to throw it over on into you. They have a strong need for validation, and frankly, they feel shocked when others don't give them the validation that they feel like they deserve, because they're constantly in search for narcissistic supply. They feel entitled to it. And so it's like, what do you mean you're not going to affirm me? And so it leads to their whining there. Constantly, as part of their whining, as part of their anger, they're looking for people to blame. It's like, yeah, I've got problems in my life and it makes me feel angry, so it can't possibly be me. I have too high of an opinion of myself to say it's me. So who out there has made my life miserable, whether it's someone from my past or someone who in the future isn't going to do something right, or whoever that person is in front of me, who's going to take responsibility for my miseries? And they look for people to blame, and so they accuse quite a bit. As part of their whining, they demand favors. It's like, well, I'm kind of in a self-indulgent mode. In other words, I like for things to go exactly as I say, and I require you to do favors for me. And then when they don't get it, it's like, what? You didn't do what I said you're supposed to? That's their whining there. And then they also impose impossible standards. Like I say, wanting that favored treatment, it's like, no, there's all sorts of things that people need to do for me, and then they can't deal with it when they don't get what they want. In their whining, they illustrate that they're unable to compromise, or they just can't even accept simple differences between themselves and other individuals. They're skilled at making small matters into complicated conundrums, and they make matters much more difficult than is necessary. They're moody, they're sullen, they're impatient, they have a lack of self-restraint. That's what I mean when I say they can come across as very angry and agitated, and sometimes it can be very forceful, and they can be a real large and in charge kind of person. But make no mistake, behind all that anger is this whiny, bratty little kid that is saying, I want my way and I want my way now. By the way, speaking of little kids, it's not abnormal for a child who's trying to make their way into the world to say, I don't know what to do. And so they will complain. And we say that sometimes kids can whine. But it's one thing for a 6-year-old to do it, or a 10-year-old or a 14-year-old. It's their way of saying, I'm trying to make sense of the world in front of me and it's not happening as quickly as I want. Okay, well, with a kid, you can sit down and say, well, why don't we talk about our options? Let's take a look at what's going on in front of you, what does and does not make sense, what we can expect realistically, and then let's make our decisions accordingly. And it's possible to do that. And I've talked with so many individuals who've applied the love and logic that's very popular and has been for years with their kids, and the kids can come through having good decision-making skills. In other words, the kid can actually say, okay, I get it. I have to take responsibility for myself. The narcissist is like, what? I have to take responsibility for myself? No way. I'm not going to do that. And basically what they're saying is, you're in charge of making me feel good, and they can gripe when you don't. But ultimately, when the more angry that narcissist is, and they go on to this whining and griping and complaining campaign, what they're basically doing is they're illustrating how profoundly inept they are with respect to just basic general problem solving. It's like if they could be honest, they would say, I've never learned how to manage my interior. I don't know what to do when life starts getting a little bit difficult. I just feel completely overwhelmed. It's too much for me. And so the anger is their way of saying, I am putting you in charge of making me feel good. What are you going to do about it? That's their whiny, gripey, complaining anger, and that's what's behind all of that. And like I say, there's so many other emotional elements that are attached to that. Now, when you're in the presence of someone who's got this anger and then the whining attitude and complaining attitude beneath it, there are two mistakes that you can make as you respond to them. One, you don't need to agree with them. Okay, sometimes it's like, yeah, I know things are really rough. And when you agree with them, it's like the narcissist is thinking, oh, I have a complaint buddy. And so they'll just keep coming at you with more. Well, now that you agree with me, let me share with you what else is wrong. Or a second thing is, you don't need to disagree with them. So you can't agree with them, you don't need to disagree with them. When I say you don't need to disagree, when you say, everything you say is wrong and crummy and you make no sense, what they're going to do is they're going to double down and say, well, let me explain to you a little bit more forcefully why I feel like I do and why you're not catching on. And so the griping and the whining and complaining just gets even worse. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should just lay down and be quiet when you are in the presence of someone like this. But let's understand, when we have anger in the room, it is possible to have a healthy approach toward anger. Now, the narcissist is not going to do that. They're too committed to all the griping and complaining that goes along with it. Healthy anger starts with an understanding of what assertiveness is. You can still stand up for yourself and say, here's who I am, these are my convictions, these are the standards I'm going to live with, and you follow through on it, both verbally and behaviorally. And you can live with your own well-conceived standards. And then as the narcissist continues not to join you and to coordinate with you, then you move toward what I refer to as higher priorities. I'm still going to stick with the higher priority of good integrity, decency, civility, etc. And so there are ways to get beyond anger that the narcissist is just oblivious to, but I'm hoping you can be committed to that in reverse towards them. Now, basically, when we talk about dropping the whiny stuff and going towards that healthier form of conflict and anger management, we're talking about having a well-developed character, a character that's developed, that's anchored in humility and self-restraint. And the narcissist is like, nah, I don't do humility and I don't do self-restraint. You see, in their mind, they're thinking, if I can gripe and complain often enough, then I can force you to take responsibility for me. And then if you don't do what I want, then I'm just going to get angry and then I'll double down on that. Over here on Team Healthy, though, we think, for you, that whining strategy may make sense, but it makes no sense to me. And if you want me to join you in your irresponsibility and agitation, I'm not going to do that. I choose to go into the path towards being responsible and being reasonable and emotionally steady. And if you're not going to join me, then that's on you, but I'm not going to jump into your cesspool of whiny complaints. Now, videos such as this can give you some good awareness of what you're dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. I consider it to be an honor to that you would allow me to be on your journey with you. So hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and we'll keep more videos coming towards you. Inside my channel, you'll see a tab that says videos. There's plenty more videos for you to watch. Now, in my retirement, I put together some courses. These are very extensive. These are online classes that you can purchase and then receive and go through them in your own time frame. Share them with whoever you want. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos along with handouts to go with each video and guided questions. One of the courses is called Anger Games. Another is called This Is Me. It's about establishing your boundaries. We have a couple others called Free to Be, Ready, Set, Connect. So plenty of resources there. In addition, I've also put together webinars. These are quite different. They're on my website, and you can access them through the information below the video. And the websites are 90-minute presentations on a wide variety of subjects. Avail yourself to that, along with my articles and access to my podcast on the website, as well as along with my books. Okay, narcissists are creatures of anger. They have so much garbage on the inside that they can't come to terms with. And so their coping strategy is gripe, whine, complain enough to make you responsible for them. And we're not going to play along with that. Let them whine, let them gripe. That's just their truth. That's who they are. But you don't have to live in that same neighborhood as them, so to speak. I'm hoping you can decide I am going to be responsible for my emotional well-being. I wish they'd join me, but when they don't, I've got a better path that I'm going to take, because you see I'm on Team Healthy and I want to be steady and I want to have dignity, respect, and civility. And in doing so, I hope it leads you further and further into the direction of your own internal peace.